Good evening, friends, subscribers, and Easyjetsimpilot members. Happy Friday! Wow, this weather's a bit rubbish, isn't it? Alright, so we're in Hamburg at the moment. We're just making a short flight this evening across to Amsterdam. I actually came to set up this stream about an hour ago, and then the computer decided it needed to do Windows updates, so a little bit late this evening, but nevertheless, we're going to get you there, hopefully in one piece. Visibility is not great for our departure, so that'll be something a little bit interesting. As you can see, we're not using live time. We're also not on VATSIM either. I just want to really see how the aircraft handles with regards to the latest updates and things before trialling and going back on VATSIM. We know there were a few issues last flight, so we're just going to keep it offline for now, but we'll still go through all our usual procedures, etc., and make sure we do things as realistically as possible. So let's see if we can get... Do we have a jetway knocking about here? If it is, it's a long way away. Oh wow, yes we do. Very, very extendable jetway that's probably going to cut that pushback tug in half now. Yeah, there we go. Oh, never mind, there's no one sat in it. Right, let me get you the current METAR then for Hamburg. It's also very windy here as well. It's been very wet. It's very, very windy. So let me grab the current METAR for you, and I'll pop that into the chat. Bear with me 1 second. Where's that gone? Okay, here we are. I'll just pop that out. So here is the METAR here at Hamburg. So as you can see, it actually says visibility is great, with a few clouds at 1,500 feet. QNH is 997. Temporarily gusting up to 25 knots, so definitely something we need to be aware of as we depart. We're going to be departing actually from runway 23, so that is almost a straight on headwind, so we need to be aware of that when we start to rotate and obviously accelerate down the runway. What else have we got? Let me get you the operational flight plan then for today. Let's grab this. So if anybody wants to download the operational flight plan so you can see what's meant to be happening, that's in the chat for you as well. Kai always crashed into the fields near Gatwick because of the flap issue. Yeah, that is the reason at the moment why I'm not risking it. It's just not fair on me. It's not fair on the controllers. It's not fair on the other people on the VATSIM network. Although I suppose it would give them a good laugh. Oh, that visibility's just increased a little bit and the rain stopped. How realistic. Let's see if it can match up to what the METAR looks like. It does look great. You can actually see that mist being blown away, can't you, if you just watch for a moment. I'm looking right on the horizon at those trees at the minute and seeing how the cloud base is sort of wafting in and out. It doesn't bear any resemblance to the METAR, but it's nice to watch. Oh, right, so with that in mind, let's start setting up then, shall we? Let's hop on board. That jetway is nowhere near the door. Those passengers are going to have to make a leap of faith to get on board, aren't they? Okay, there we are. Yep, there it is. You're going to have to jump if you want to get on board this flight. Let's get the batteries on. And let's call for some ground power then, shall we? From the ground services. Tune Hamburg ground, request a power supply. Here it comes, there's the flashing yellow light, and we can get that external power connected up. So Connor Ellis Music, I've actually got this is the live weather in Microsoft Flight Simulator, so it's not anything like Rex or anything like that. And there we go. That's the ground power sorted. Let's start getting those idiots aligned. See if we actually have a screen as well this time. We had a little problem with that, didn't we, in one of the streams not too long ago. They seem to be coming on all right. Let's get those lights on. And we can probably also start getting those passengers on board. Get you guys on board nice and early. As I say, we are a little bit late for tonight's stream, so let's crack on with that. The quicker you guys are on board, the quicker we can get airborne, the quicker we can get yourself at Amsterdam this evening. So we're about ready for boarding. I just want to refuel.
Cabin crew, we're ready to start boarding the aircraft now, so you can go ahead and open the doors. Thank you.
Okay, no problem.
So let's pull that information in from the SimBrief servers then. So any data request, and we get Hamburg to Amsterdam, about an hour's flight, 54 minutes. And then let's check the operational flight plan against these weights. So block fuel 5392, that matches up, so we can get that loaded in. There we go. And let's have a look at our passengers. 173 passengers on board this evening, a payload of pretty much 18 tons and a zero fuel weight of 59. Bang on. So all those match up. Happy with that. Let's get that payload popped on. Jazz Maxwell 77, happy Friday to you as well. Alright, let me just check the gross weight. 62.5 tons, and we've got a takeoff weight there of 62.38, so that looks pretty accurate. So performance calculator, the packs will be off, anti-ice will be on, and the runway is wet. Departing from Hamburg as we can see, QNH 997, and our predicted takeoff weight is 62384. We'll be departing runway 23 using the full length of runway 23, and we'll calculate, do we get a V speed at a flex temp of 64 degrees, 64. Are we going to have a nighttime landing? It may be getting very dark by the time we get in Amsterdam. In fact, the runway that I've got on the operational flight plan at the moment is runway 24, which is fine for the winds, but it's also an RNAV approach as well, so that could be interesting. Dark Fury, good evening, sir. It's also a noise abatement 1 here in Hamburg, as has also been checked with the chart, so that is also true. Okay, so our refueling is done, and the passengers can now get themselves strapped in their seats. We'll put the seatbelt sign on now that's finished, and we can get the fuel pumps on as well. Let's get a little bit of light as well on this overhead panel. There we go. Oh, that's vivid. Have they edited that? I didn't think it was that bright in previous incarnations of this mod. Let's do the engine fire test then. So engine 1, engine 2, and the APU. There we go. Okay, so with those fire checks complete, let's start the APU master. Give it 3 seconds, and then we'll hit the start. There we go. Good evening, Chris. Good to see you as well. Danny, no, quite right. They don't often land on runway 24, and I was going to change it, and I thought, you know what, we'll get airborne, then we'll have a quick look. We're not going to be in the air very long, so we can obviously do a reroute if we need to. So that's the beauty of the simulator, isn't it? All right, let me get the center instruments all set up as well. QNH on there, 997. Temperature's dropped, hasn't it? We had like a week or two of really high pressure all over Europe, and now we're below 1,000. And I'm just going to turn those ECAMs up. So there's the time in the simulator. Is 1616 Zulu. APU is now available. Let's get that APU bleed on. Fresh air into the cabin and all that. Let's have a look at the pedestal. Audio control looks good, and all the levers in the correct place. Let's set VHF2 to the guard frequency 121.5. There we go. Back to VHF1, and everything looks as it should be there. So let's come up to the FCU and the glare shield. So 997, as I said, very, very low. Flight directors on. Let's turn a bit of the brightness up. Flight directors 1 and 2 on. FCU is all set. So let's come down to the primary flight displays, navigation displays. We'll turn off the first officer's side. ILS alignment in 5 minutes. Just turn up the brightness if we can as well on that on the McDo. Also get the fly pad on as well. Why not? How's that weather doing outside? Oh, visibility has increased a little bit now actually. Could be coming a little bit more in line with the META, and you can see the rain there on the display. Ooh, is this now working? Oh, very nice. Well, I'll tell you what, can we call catering? I didn't know that had been merged in. Ha ha ha! Well, you learned something new. Let's get the baggage boys working too, shall we? There they come. Oh, I didn't know that was in. I've been waiting for them to merge that since we previewed it here on the channel. So that's fantastic. Oh, lovely stuff. Much more realistic now. I don't have to... had I had known, I'd have not opened the ATC panel right at the start. So, good to see that that's now working. This is the latest custom build, by the way, for anyone who is wondering. And it was downloaded about an hour ago. So it's probably out of date now. Fly-by-wire do wonderful things and work very quickly. So I'm also just going to pop in my username, Easyjetsimpilot. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that's correct. So I now should be able to pull in the information from SimBrief. There we go. So looking at the weather in Amsterdam and looking at that, 23017. So yeah, I can see why SimBrief gave me runway 24 to land on, because it's perfect for the winds. And it's 23017, so they're quite strong winds as well. But there we are. Okay, let's come down then and carry on setting things up in the McDo. Let me pull over the operational flight plan as well in a moment. So let's go to our data page, check the aircraft status. Latest AirX cycle is all there. Let's move to our init A page. So let's pull this in. Not in database. I think you're lying to me. So is there a VATSIM, a big enough version of VATSIM? No, well, not that I'm aware of. I don't believe so. Echo Hotel Romeo Delta. That's Rotterdam, is it? Echo Hotel Romeo Delta. Echo Hotel Romeo Delta. And of course, we'll change the flight number to Easy 34 Alpha Mike. Cost index of 8 as per usual, and we have a cruise temperature and flight level 360 minus 51. Okay, that says minus 53, so we can update that. Let's see what the tropo is looking like. Oh, that's low. 28162. 28162. There we go. So our inner 8 is all set up. Don't think we've got our 3.5 green yet either, do we? No, they're still aligning. Okay, let's come to the flight plan. So we're departing from runway 23, and it is the Whiskey Sierra November 2 Bravo departure. Right at the bottom there. So let's pop that in. Insert. And so if the flight route is to be planned and flown, it's runway 24 at Amsterdam, which is an RNAV approach, I believe. We'll leave it for now. We'll go as it's planned. So runway 24, here are the RNAVs. That's the GPS primary kicking in. So RNAV runway 24, plenty long enough runway, as you can see, nearly 3,500 meters. Runway 24, it would be the Yield 1 Alpha arrival, which I believe is that one. Yeah, 1 Bravo, 1 Alpha. Oh, is this going to take me via... That's not the approach fix I was expecting. Let me just have a look. So I was expecting an initial approach fix of R-tip. It's actually going to take me right over the Schiphol VOR, which isn't very realistic. So we'll have to play that by ear when we get there. Let's have a look. We'll insert that for now. If I select no vias, I still don't think that's working, but let's pop that in for now. Because what I would expect to see is, yeah, R-tip. Yeah, it's basically taking us to the airport and then sending us back out again, which is a bit of a pain. We'll go and have a look how that's coded in a minute. In fact, you know what? We can cheat. We can do that now. If we use the VFR map, scroll down over here, and you can see... right, okay, so what I would actually expect to do is go direct from R-tip, which is just here, and then fly straight to Arwen. So we can do that. We'll just go direct. We'll not clear all those waypoints out because the simulator doesn't like it. But if I show you how that then compares with the actual approach charts on what we're going to do, I'm briefing all this arrival now because it's a very short flight. So as you can see, there's an initial approach fix of R-tip, which is just there, and then we're going to go direct from R-tip. So we're coming over here from R-tip, the initial approach fix, to Arwen, which on our charts is then just there. So we're just going to go direct from R-tip to Arwen, and that is the start of our RNAV approach, or RMP approach. RMP approach. I'll get my hands slapped. RMP, not RNAV. Okay, so John Ray, good evening. Good to see you as well. Let me clear the VFR map off there. So now that's actually put in, I'm expecting this distance is going to be a lot bigger than the flight plan. So 261, and I've got 249. Oh, not too much bigger. Not too much bigger, but it has got that big loop, which I'm going to not fly, essentially. So as you can see, actually, from there, we've got R-tip just there. And it does actually have all these waypoints in. And then direct to Amsterdam for our final part of the approach. So that's all set. Let's have a look at the RadNav page. So I want to pop in this Whiskey Sierra November VOR just in case something goes wrong and I want to fly raw data. So Whiskey Sierra November, pop that in. Not in the database, are you sure? Okay, let's go old school, shall we? Where is the frequency for it? Oh, it's not a VOR, that's why. Whiskey Sierra November. That would help, wouldn't it? Whiskey Sierra November. Pop it in there. There we go. And we could also, if we needed to, we can put the Ulster VOR in there as well, just for help navigating back to the airport if for some reason we had to. So ALF, let's pop that in. ALF. There we go. So that's our RadNav page all set up. So onto the init B page for our departure. The zero fuel weight then is where's the flight plan gone? Zero fuel weight is 59 tons, and standard center of gravity 30.0. Oh, missed the decimal place out. Try again. We've got a trip wind today of a headwind of 46 in such a short flight. Wow, headwind of 46. So I'm expecting to see a fuel planning now of around 5.5 tons. Let's hit it and see what we get. 2.8 tons. All right, so we've got plenty of extra. There we go. 3.5 tons. Let's key that in. 3.5 and enter. Takeoff weight 62.4, and is that how we've calculated it at 62.4? Yep, it is, so that's fine as well. And I'm just going to double check our alternate, which is 727, so we can actually change that to 0.7 for that alternate fuel. 0.7. and that updates nicely as well. So when we get to Amsterdam, we're looking at around 1.7 tons of fuel on board. Good weather at Amsterdam, so we shouldn't have any problems getting in there, all being well. Lewis Aviation, good evening, good to see you. UK, USA and Canada, the tablet comes from the latest developer and custom fly-by-wire versions of the fly-by-wire mod. So go and check that out. Alright, so let's have a look at our takeoff performance page. So the transition altitude here is 5,000 feet. And it is a noise abatement 1 departure. So, however, they actually give us specific altitudes to go to climb thrust and the acceleration altitude, which is 1,500 and 3,000 feet here at Hamburg. Again, this is found on Navigraph charts. If I can bring that in, where is it? Oh, that's Schiphol. You don't want that. So that can be found on these departure charts just here. Yeah, noise abatement. So takeoff power reduction to climb power at 1,500, climb with the maximum climb gradient to 3,000 feet, and then we shall accelerate away. It'll be flaps 1 for the takeoff, and the flex temp we've already calculated at 64. So let's calculate those V speeds now. So 134, 130 and 129. Okay, so our takeoff briefing then. Let's just have a little look. Now the weather, we've spoken briefly about how it once again doesn't quite match the METAR. It's very misty and it's also raining, which makes it a little bit difficult to plan what would happen if we needed to come back and land. Personally, I think we'd be fine coming in here. It's big international airport, good ILS, and just double check the takeoff weight. We're well below the maximum landing weight, so we've got no issues coming back here if we had to. I think looks like we'd still be above the minimums for an auto land. We wouldn't need to, that wouldn't be required. Which is good because I can't actually do it in this aircraft. Alright, but we do need to be aware of the wind. I already mentioned the wind on departure. It's 230 at 14, but gusting to 25, so there's going to be gusts blowing straight against us as we aim to take off, so we need to be aware of that. The aircraft then, we could still have a problem with flaps 1. We'll see what happens. We may have extra induced drag thanks to a bug in the simulator, so we need to be aware of that on takeoff. Once we get rid of flaps 1, that should be fine. We also need to be aware of that on landing as well, of course. No NOTAMs to be aware of, and the only threat I can currently think of is the aircraft itself. The transition altitude is 5,000 feet. Our initial stop climb altitude for our departure is 5,000 feet. So here's our departure route. So we fly out, and then when we are 5.5 miles from the Ulster VOR, then that's when we make a slight right-hand turn to track towards the Whiskey Sierra November NDB. However, that will be programmed in, I presume, in our standard instrument departure. Let's just have a little look at that. So just click there. Yeah, so there is. There's our left-hand turn on the departure. So that's looking exactly as it should and all coded very nicely. I can put the constraints on there. I don't believe there are any on this particular departure route. No. And there was none shown on the charts as well either, to be fair, so that matches everything it should do. So that's our initial stop climb is 5,000 feet, as you can see there. We've already discussed it's a noise abatement 1 departure, so on departure we'll keep that nose up until we get to 3,000 feet, and then we'll lower the nose and accelerate away. Alright, so that's our departure briefing. Let's run the before start checklist. So I think we're now done with our ground power. APU is happily running, so let's disconnect the ground power, and can I now use the tablet to get rid of that? So, is external power there, or has it disappeared? Oh, he's still there. So if I now click that, will he disappear or... Oh no. Might be because I called it using the ATC. I wonder if that can... Oh, hang on, that looks like I've just turned it on. Oh, is he now disappearing? Oh, there we go. He's now disappearing. That's good. The main door is still open. I can get rid of the jetway. Can I get rid of the jetway on here as well? Tug, pushback, door, catering, fuel, forward door, passengers. I guess that means the jetway. So if we click that, will that start to move away? We'll try that again. Oh, there we go. Door's closed. And is the jetway going to disappear as well? There it is. Very nice. It's great when things work, isn't it?
Hi, Captain. All passengers are on board and doors have been closed.
Thank you.
So, Henry, has the custom build got the new flypad ground operations? Well, I'm in the custom build right now, and yes, it was news to me too. I didn't expect that to be here just now, but apparently there it is. So that's really, really nice. Okay, so cockpit preparation is now complete. The signs are on and auto. Ideas, have we got 3 nav green? Let's just check. There we go. 3 nav green. And fuel quantity is loaded and balanced. Flight management guidance computer is all set. Altimeter is 0997. One thing I will set as well, just in case we did have an issue and we did need to return here, I would also pop in our departure ILS, so we're not faffing around with that. So if we need to come back straight to the airport, we can pop in the frequency 111.5, and we can pop that in the RadNav page. 111.5. So you can pop that in, and if you wish as well, particularly in low visibility conditions, although that has cleared up a bit, one thing you can do, and it is encouraged in low visibility conditions, and that's turn on the landing system, because then if you are on the incorrect runway, you've got lost in the fog, and you're on the runway and you're not sure it's the right one, of course you should see, as a gross error check, if you turn the ILS rows on, you should be perfectly aligned. If you are not perfectly aligned and you've got the frequency of your departure runway tuned in, you're on the wrong runway. And I believe not doing that at some point actually caused a fatal air crash, sadly. Aircraft on the wrong runway in the fog. So that's a little bit more information for you. That's all sorted. I think we can now look to start pushing back. So doors are closed, passengers are boarded. Let's get the doors armed and welcome you guys, our passengers, on board for this short hop to Amsterdam. We'll probably spend longer on the ground than we will the air, but no matter.
Cabin crew, we're all ready to go, so please arm the doors and cross-check. Thank you. Hello, ladies and gentlemen from the flight deck. My name is Gavin, and I'll be your pilot flying you today. We're currently on schedule for departure, so we're not expecting any further delays, and we'll be looking to push back very shortly. The weather today is looking calm, so we should be able to give you a nice, relaxing flight.
Ignore that, the wind is not calm.
Cabin crew will be delivering their safety briefing very shortly, so please give them your full attention. Once we're airborne, we'll turn the seatbelt signs off and release the cabin. But for now, please get yourselves comfortable with the seatbelts securely fastened. Thank you for choosing Easyjet today, and we hope you enjoy your flight.
Okay, so the wind is most certainly not calm. It's gusting up to 35 knots. Was it on departure? We'll soon find out. I'll have another quick check of that. Now, I'm not going to use the pushback on here. I just prefer the speed that the pushback helper uses. Maybe that's something fly-by-wire could incorporate. Maybe a speed for the pushback. But if I have a quick look, that departure is gusting 25, not 35. Not quite as bad as I thought. Okay, so pushback clearance. Let's have a look and see where we're going. So, Alright, so we're parked here. We're going to essentially just push straight back, head left, and we're taxiing down and going right to the very end of the runway. So we're going to be holding short at Alpha 1. Given the conditions of the airport, it was did look like low visibility procedures in place, so this is the stop bar we would be stopping at, not this one up here. Alright, so now we know where we're going. We'll tell the pushback guy that he can do his thing in a minute. Pushback tug is there and in place. Let's get the rotating beacon light on. Nose wheel steering is disconnected. Acupressure looks good. We'll start the elapsed time. Transponder to auto. Let's lock the flight deck doors. Thrust levers at idle. And we can run the before start checklist below the line. Windows and doors are closed and armed. ECAM status is checked. And mobile phone off, parking brake on. However, we're going to release that in a minute as we start to get pushed back. So let's release that, and we can start the push. Just going to pop a little bit of light down here as well, actually. So back we go. Engine mode select to ignition and starting engine 1. And engine 1 is starting to spool up. Really? No, I'm not on VATSIM, not until I'm convinced that there's nothing wrong with the aircraft.
Gentlemen and channel members, on behalf of the crew, I ask that you please direct your attention to the monitors as we review the emergency procedures. There are 6 emergency exits on this A320neo. Please take a minute to locate the one closest to you and note that it may be behind you. Count the number of rows to the exit. Should the cabin experience pressure loss, stay calm and listen for instructions from the cabin crew. Oxygen masks will drop down from above your seat. Place the mask over your mouth and nose like this, and pull the strap to tighten it. If you are traveling with children, make sure you put your own mask on first.
And starting engine 2.
In the unlikely event of an emergency landing and evacuation, leave your carry-on luggage and items behind. Life rafts are located below your seats, and emergency lighting in the floors will lead you to the closest exit. We ask that you make sure that all carry-on luggage is stowed away safely during the flight. While we wait for takeoff, please take a moment to review the safety procedures on the card in the pocket in front of you. Electronic device must now be switched off or turned to airplane mode until we instruct you that it is again safe to use them. Our cabin service will commence once we are in flight. If you are a frequent flyer with us, you can now join the channel as a member and obtain extra perks to make your journey with us more enjoyable.
Complete. Setting the parking brake.
And we hope you enjoy the flight.
So I'm just waiting for engine number 2 now to stabilise. Max, the announcements come from a add-on called Self-Loading Cargo. So quick Google and you'll be able to find that. Now, given the amount that it was raining earlier, I would expect the runway still to be wet, even though here in the simulator it doesn't look that bad. Just wondering if we needed to change our performance calculations. QNH is still the same, 0997, so I think we'll leave that as it was. David, how are the flaps acting now? Very good question. I'll let you know in about 5 minutes once we've started rolling. Okay, engine 2 is now stabilized, so engine mode select to norm, and APU bleed can come off, anti-ice is coming on, engine masters, APU masters can come off, ground spoilers are armed, our rudder trim just checked was 0.0, and flaps 1. Our pitch trim setting then, centre of gravity is 26.8, so let's go down and have a look at that. So around there, so 26.8, and our ECAM status is now checked. All good. We'll send the tug driver on his way. Let's run the after start checklist. So engine anti-ice on, ECAM status checked. Happy with that. Pitch trim 26.8 and rudder trim 0. Max, how did I do a perfect pushback? I think that's practice. I bet if I go outside, to be fair, he's not that perfect. That tug driver still needs a little bit of work. Look at that. He's got me lined up with the taxiway. I'm just not on it. Shouldn't have shown you that, should I? No, it didn't look too bad. He's getting better, Mr. Tug Driver. Okay, so the pushback tug is now clear. We know where we're taxiing. Let's get our taxi light on. There we go. And before I go any further, I'm just going to do our flight control check. So, full left, full right, neutral, full up, full down, neutral, rudder, full right, full left, and neutral. Alright, so let's take off the parking brakes and we can start heading towards that runway. A little bit of engine power just to get us moving initially. Then we can pop that back to idle and the aircraft will quite happily taxi under its own steam. Now it doesn't look like we're in low visibility procedures anymore. If we were, I would not do any more checks or be getting anything else ready. You want to make sure you stopped completely before doing that if the visibility is poor. And it looks like that rain's starting in actually, coming from over there. However, as visibility has increased, I will take my eyes off the taxiway and get some of the other systems on. So there's all that lovely weather on the radar, as you can see, looking very yellow, very red, sorry, not yellow. Nice short taxi, so this is good. Alexander, the stabilizer was set a while ago, my friend. So we're going to go to the right here, and I'm expecting to see the Cat 2 hold lines. There it is. So given that we were operating with low visibility procedures when we started, we are going to hold here before progressing any further, and you can see just there if I zoom in, there's the other stop hold line. So we're just stopping a bit further back from the runway, and the idea is because if people are using an auto land to come in, if any aircraft are coming in and we're using an auto land, then they don't want our metal airframe anywhere near the runway and potentially interfering with ILS frequencies. So that's why you have different stop bars for different positions given the weather and the types of landings that are being performed. Okay, so let's run our before takeoff checklist to the line. So our flight controls are checked, our departure briefing we've confirmed, flap setting is config 1, FMA and takeoff data is 129 blue, 134 magenta, climb nav blue, 5,000 feet blue, 1 FD2 and a flex temp takeoff of 64. Okay, so happy with all of that. We should all be happy with our departure. It's a noise abate 1 departure, so we'll climb, thrust reduction at 1,500 feet, acceleration 3,000 feet, and it's a straight out departure until 5.5 miles from the Alcester VOR, which if I turn that on is showing just there as well. So we've got a little bit of raw data for us, and I can also obviously rely on the flight management guidance computer because the SID looks exactly as it should do. We've already checked that. So wheels and our brake temperatures are absolutely fine, brake fans are off, takeoff and line-up clearance is clear, should be. There's no other aircraft in the simulator at the moment, so the approach path is fine. Let's get the strobe lights on and we can get the landing lights on, runway turn-off lights and nose lights on. We'll also tell our self-loading cargo people to sit down.
Cabin crew, seats for takeoff, please.
And we can also turn off packs 1 and 2. Transponder and TCAS, TARA and tilt above. So, before takeoff checklist below the line, cabin is secured for takeoff, engine mode select norm, TCAS TARA, packs off, anti-ice on. Let's line up. Looks like that weather's coming back in for our takeoff, so should be interesting to see, particularly with the winds that we've got and with the extra drag that these flaps may be giving us. It's just so immersive, isn't it? Really, really good. And it's the way the weather just weaves in and out of your location. I don't know of any other simulators, even with mods, that do that. They normally just respond to the METAR and boom, as soon as the METAR changes, the weather changes. But not here. I love the live weather and the way it lives and breathes. Oh wow, those lights are bright. Again, another nice touch. So all the passengers sat in there, wow, you can see it's bouncing it down. Literally. Okay, so looking good. Let's get ready for our takeoff then. And I'm losing visibility of the runway there. Interesting. Okay, side stick forward, take off, start the chrono, 50%. N1 and set takeoff thrust. Man flex, SRS and runway.
What is it now? Check.
There's V1 and rotate.
Positive right, 0.
So holding that 15-degree pitch, and at 1500 feet I expect to see climb thrust. So that should be in one moment. There we go. Set climb thrust, and we'll keep our nose up so we can continue to climb out to 3,000 feet before reaching our acceleration altitude. Just watching that speed because of those flaps and the potential drag on those that I spoke about earlier. However, that's looking a lot better than it did the other day. They may have been fixed. So packs 1 and 2 need to come back on, but I just want to get to climb thrust. There we go. So let's lower that nose now and start to accelerate away. Whilst we do that, we're going to get pack 1 on for now. We'll give it another 10 seconds before turning on pack 2. Let's lower that nose a little bit more so I get that speed to start coming up. There we go. Let's get pack 2 on now as well. I'm not sure those flaps have been fixed, you know. Although the aircraft is starting to gain speed more so than I think it did the other day. What will really tell me is when we're on approach in a little while. and if I'm with flaps 1 out, if I need 80% N1 to maintain green dot, then I will know they've not been fixed. So we're flying almost level now and still struggling to get above S speed. Once I get those flaps in, that drag will disappear. So that'll come through in a second. Okay, so we're now past S speed. Let's clean up. So flap 0, spoilers disarmed, and you can see the speed shooting up now. So there is still a bit of a flaps issue, but it is better. 5.5 miles away from the Ulster VOR, and now we make that right hand turn. But we're losing altitude there as we did that. Not much, but enough to respond to that quickly. And that's because we pulled the flaps in, so we lost the lift, as we were not climbing to begin with. Okay, so happy now. Autopilot 1 is coming on. So we're at climb thrust, and with no air traffic control online either, we're quite happy to continue our climb. We'll set flight level 250, pop that in. So 250 blue confirmed, and set standard pressure, and up we go. How do I know if I'm not upside down in this weather? See the blue? If the blue is not on the bottom, you're the right way around. Axial, this is the custom build. Steeper climb gradient, so that's fine. And let's release our cabin crew. Those clouds look amazing, don't they? No mods at all with regards to the weather.
You may now use your electronic devices. Rechargeable battery packs are available for your smartphones and tablets. Please use Super Chats or Super Sticker to get your cabin crew's attention. You may also ask them about joining our Frequent Flyers Club and joining the channel. Thank you.
So we're now about to pass 10,000 feet. Let's get the lights off. Pop the airports on the EFIS, and before we continue to climb to our cruising altitude, just check the progress. So our cruising altitude, flight level 360, optimal 390, 360. We're not going to spend very long at that altitude, not on this short flight. So flight level 360, 360 blue confirmed. And once I'm happy, a couple of more thousand feet, we'll let the seatbelt signs come off. You guys can walk around and stretch your legs a little bit. And somehow we've managed to come through all of that without any ice on the airframe, which is unusual. Doesn't normally happen, does it? Looking very, very good. So as you can see, Amsterdam is only about 160 miles away. I think that flight level is a bit optimistic, to tell you the truth. I don't see us getting up to flight level 360, and if we do, I bet we're only there for a minute or two. So, just something interesting for you. if we decided, you know what, actually we're not going to fly at that high, we're not really going to spend much time at that altitude, although we're climbing 3,000 feet per minute at the moment, so we may spend a bit of time up there. But if we decided to reduce that, say we decided, you know what, flight level 280 is good enough, well, then we'd be flying at 8,000 feet difference. So if you look at your operational flight plan, you've got takeoff corrections just here. So if you're flying 2,000 feet below or 4,000 feet below, it'll increase the time it'll take you, so your trip time, and it will also increase or decrease, of course, the amount of fuel you need. But check out my full sim brief tutorial for a little bit more information on that if you wish to learn more. I can turn these displays up a little bit now as well. So with Amsterdam not that far away, we're going to go ahead and get almost set for our arrival. Let's get a weather request. So you can stick with me, guys, today for the full flight, as it's not that long. So cruise stage, certainly not lasting very long at all. So while we're just in this climb, if you could do me a favour, if you haven't already, hit that like button for me. That would be fantastic if you could. Look at the sun reflecting off the glare shield there. I never cease to be amazed by the graphics in this thing. Okay, seatbelt sign's coming off, so now you can get up and press that like button.
Ladies and gentlemen, the captain has turned off the seatbelt sign, so you are free to move about the cabin. However, please note that we do recommend you fasten your seatbelts at all times when you are seated in case of turbulence. Thank you.
I do love the colouring of the clouds at sunrise and sunset. So if I'm not doing a live timed flight, which I normally do on the daytime streams, or if I'm flying up VATSIM at night as well, of course, sometimes I'll do that when I'm happy that the aircraft is fully working. But yeah, if I'm not using real live time, then I will always set a sort of sunrise or sunset, just because of the colours that you get. I think it looks lovely. Flying straight into the sunlight. And there's our contrails as well now. They're getting blown behind us pretty fast with the headwind that we've got. Kevin, the announcements are from self-loading cargo. Looks beautiful in all angles, doesn't it? Well, sadly, enough sightseeing. We have work to do. So that weather should now be have come from in here. Let's have a look. Let's get that printed off. So winds 23016. And our QNH is 999. Well, that doesn't bode well. So let's get that put in. I think we've got time just for a quick drinks round from the cabin crew, don't you?
Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to serve a selection of alcoholic drinks including wine and locally sourced ales. Please make ensure your tray table is in the down position and clear any items from the aisle. If you would like to upgrade to premium brands, super stickers and super chats are available. If you are a frequent flyer with us, you can now join the channel as a member and get extra perks to make your journey with us more enjoyable. Thank you.
So a nice headwind on landing. The livery, by the way, guys, is a custom livery, exclusive to the channel and our channel members. So the transition altitude is 3,000 feet at Amsterdam. I'll show you the charts for this in a moment. Minimum descent altitude is 393. There we go. And our runway elevation is -12. One of the great things about Amsterdam, it's actually below sea level. J-Hug, so you've got a nice clear evening at Amsterdam. Oh, that's nice. There's loads of clouds at the moment, so I expect those to clear pretty soon. Barry, is it possible to download the livery? I'm afraid you can't download it. It's available just to the channel members, I'm afraid. However, you can now join the Easyjetsimpilot channel, so please do check that out. Okay, so let's have a look at our approach. I know we're not even at our cruise altitude just yet, so I'm going to keep a little eye on that. So we touched on it on the ground anyway, didn't we? So we want to be at below flight level 100 at RTIB, and then from RTIB we're going to come in and go direct straight to Arwin, and then at Arwin we want to be at 2,000 feet at Arwin. That's our platform for the RNAV approach into runway 24. It's a 3-degree glide path. Now that's very important, as this is not an ILS approach. This is an RNP approach. If the simulator doesn't like it, which sadly sometimes it doesn't, then we can set track FPA mode to start descending at this 3-degree glide angle. And our minimum descent height, that's where we got that from, 393. Transition altitude as well, we got up here 3,000 feet, and our missed approach altitude is 2,000 feet. So what I also want to check actually is the distance between, so it's 32 miles between RTIB and Arwin, which again we just get from the charts there. So RTIB there, Arwin there. And we also want to be configured nice and early as well for an RNAV approach. So top of descent calculations, let's work this out. Let's say we want to be at, well, to make sure that by Arwin we're at 2,000 feet, because we're essentially coming straight in on this approach. We can do this if we just go to our performance. So if we sync that, and we can pop that in at 2,000 feet for our target altitude. And a descent rate, in fact if we start our descent probably about 100 miles away, that's about 2,000 feet per minute. How far are we away then from Arwin at the moment? We have to use these range rings on here. However, there will be another way to do this, but unfortunately it's not available just yet. Will be soon though, I hope. So there's RTIB, and Arwin is around here somewhere in that cluster of waypoints that we're going to avoid. So we have reached our cruising altitude now, more or less. We'll watch for the FMA changes up there. Climb thrust, climb nav. There we go. Mac Alt Star. as we approach flight level 360, and we're going to start heading back down again pretty soon. In fact, in about 2 minutes. If it might not even be that long, because of course what I will also want to do is make sure that we've slowed down enough for our approach.
Ladies and gentlemen from the cockpit, once again, just let you know we've reached our cruise level for the flight today. The cabin crew will be making their way around serving drinks, hot coffee, teas, etc. So if we need any amounts of beer or items, we invite you to sit back and enjoy the rest of the flight. Thank you.
That was possibly the most pointless cabin announcement from PA in the channel's history, the channel's short history, because in about 30 seconds they're going to get the top of descent announcement. So yeah, time to start heading down. Let's have a bit of fun with the passengers.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Alt cruise, down we go.
starting our descent to our destination, at which point the cabin crew will start preparing the aircraft for our arrival, so you can make sure the house get there or any baggage. The seatbelt signs will also shortly be going on, so if you need to use the toilets, please do so now. If we're not, those are for your safety. Thank you very much for your cooperation, and we'll speak to you again soon.
Okay, so descending now, 2,000 feet per minute, flight level 050 confirmed, thrust idle, and I've reduced the speed as well. Ideally I want 270 knots, but I can't select that until we're below, I think it's flight level 250. Christian, yeah, we discussed that. That's a ridiculously high cruise level for this kind of flight, isn't it? Blame the planning department at Simbrief. Antrak, good evening. So down we go. Place your bets now. Will the RNAV approach work or will it not? So we've got the weather and the landing information. The flight management guidance computer is all computed and set. Landing elevation, as I say, is -12. Auto brake not required for this runway, nice and long. We've done the arrival briefing. At the moment, I don't think we're going to need the terrain radar on. We should be absolutely fine without that. One thing I will have a quick look at then is what happens when we land. So if we just bring up the charts, here's the runway that we shall be landing on. Runway 24, right in the middle of the airport actually, so that could be an interesting view as we come in. Might even get a replay for this one. So I'm looking then to hopefully vacate on to taxiway Sierra 2. We can then taxi straight forward onto Romeo, and then if I just bring in the parking stands, then it's on to taxiway Alpha, and we can just pick a parking stand, any parking stand we wish, over there. So that cabin crew best be quick with the drinks trolley, because they haven't got long to serve all you guys. What's everybody having, by the way? Danny turned terrain on in the Netherlands. That's a fair point. Now, one thing I am going to check as well for this RNAV approach is what does make a difference is how well the constraints are planned. So, Arwin, 2,000 feet. Yeah, that's correct, actually. And Arwin, when we get there and start that descent with the on the glide path, not the glide slope though, there is a difference. It is only, what's that, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9.4 miles away from the airport, so that's why we want to be configured nice and early for this one, particularly, as I say, if the aircraft decides not to behave. So essentially what will happen is we'll be at 2,000 feet at Arwin, and then we will activate the approach about 0.4 miles away from Alpha Mike 143. Upon passing Alpha Mike 143, what should happen is the aircraft will pick up this glide path and start to descend at that 3-degree glide path angle to get us to within 393 feet altitude of the runway, at which point we knock the autopilot off and land manually, because RMP doesn't take us down to the runway all the way. Captain B, we're only descending at 2,000 feet per minute. That's not fast. Willie, good evening. What are you doing here? How many spreadsheets have you got open? It's a Friday night. Surely you're not still working. It's good. Down we come. Captain Camel, you're doing a quick flight as well in the latest custom. Only thing I can mention is I think the flaps one still has a massive drag. However, I've got something quite exciting to announce. Maybe. So we should. Many of you that follow the channel and obviously fly regularly will know that on the ground you set flaps 1 for takeoff, and what that does is displays flaps 1 plus F. So actually it extends both the slats, which are at the front of the aircraft wing along here, and it also extends the flaps, which most people are familiar with, at the back of the wing. When in flight, however, when you go flaps 1, it should only extend the slats at the front, not the flaps. The flaps don't come in until flaps 2. However, in the flight deck here, even in the air, whenever I've gone flaps 1, I've always seen flaps 1 plus F here, which is incorrect. It should just be flaps 1. Though I've been speaking to the guys at Fly-by-Wire, and they tell me there is a reason for this, and that is because I actually use an axis for a lever to pull my flaps. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually manually going to select flaps 1 today and see if we just get flaps 1 displayed there rather than flaps 1 plus F. Which, if that happens, HD is going to be so happy next week when he comes back. Willie, you're watching me on a 50-inch TV. Wow. That's almost life-sized. Louis, the message on the ECAM regarding the fuel, what is that? So, the outer tank fuel cross-feed valve is open. That means, hang on, let me just show you. If I go to the fuel. Alright, so these inner tanks, so you've got the centre tank, 2 outer tanks, 1 each side, and obviously 2 inner tanks, 1 each side. When the inner tanks drop below 750 kilograms, the valve opens from the outer tanks and the fuel comes over from the outer tanks to fill the inner tanks. So you'll probably see here our outer tanks being emptied now, and you may even see on occasion the inner tanks increasing in fuel as the fuel gets pumped in. So, and that will remain, that fuel crossfeed valve will now remain open until refueling on the ground in Amsterdam. Aircraft doesn't appear to be holding the speed as well as it did the other day. I'm just going to see how this descent's going. Actually, that's alright. because we've slowed down, I could probably reduce that rate of descent now to about 1600 feet per minute. And 1600 confirmed there. We've reduced our speed, which is why we don't need to descend quite as quickly. Let me just close that SD page. So the QNH was 999. We'll get that into the standby instruments. Lewis, no problem. Thank you for watching. Glad we can be of help. Okay, so standby is set. The anti-ice has been on for the entire flight, hasn't it? Once while going through all the clouds on departure, and now back on for our descent.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the cockpit, we're coming out of descent into our destination. We're not expecting any air traffic control delays, so we should have you on ground shortly. If you can now please assist the cabin crew by tightening your tray cables and having the many measures they come around, it would be much appreciated, and make sure to fasten your seatbelts. For safety reasons, please turn off any electronic devices you have or switch your hair or your mobile phone. Please note the aircraft toilets will also shortly go out of use. Thank you, and we'll see you on the ground shortly.
So I'm just going to have a look at that METAR again, because it updates quite quickly here on the flypad. So just check nothing drastic has changed. Okay, so when was that update? 21:15. Alright, so this METAR is now 4 minutes old. 22015 and QNH 999. So QNH is very, very important when doing an RNP approach. 22015, so has that changed a little bit? I think it has. 22015, yeah. There we go. Okay. So this descent's looking all right. And we're coming up nearly on 10,000 feet, so it's now time to get you guys strapped back into your seats. So, if you haven't been to the toilet, that's it. Now you're going to have to just hold it until we're on the ground. Minimum set both sides. Engine mode select is normal. Electronic flight bag is stowed.
Ladies and gentlemen, the captain has turned on the seatbelt sign. Please fasten your seatbelts as soon as possible. Thank you.
So that's the approach checklist done. We're getting the warning at the moment, or advisory, that ice is not detected. That's fine, but we are about to go through this cloud layer here, so we're going to leave that on. Kieran, your frame rates has decreased and you're getting bad performance. Have you cleared out your rolling cache and potentially turned it off? Captain Camel, your landing is 28 gusting 3.3. Oh, you can get down. Gusting 3.8 I think is the limit. David Tribble, how do I get the announcement? It's from an add-on called Self-Loading Cargo. So go and check that out. Okay, so I'm about 30 miles away from the start of the final approach. So I'm going to now activate the approach phase. Speed to select to managed. And why is it taking me direct to Schiphol? I don't want to go direct to Schiphol. I now Let's pop this in. Let's go direct to Arwen. There we go. And now we can go back into manage mode, nav mode. There we go. Oh, he's even cleared out the old flight plan, look. That doesn't happen very often. A little bit of speed brakes now as we start to reduce and get down to green dot. So we're now going all the way down to 2,000 feet. And set QNH local pressure 999 millibars. Sorry, hectopascals, not millibars. We're not in America. So this is essentially now almost a straight-in approach. If weather permits, we may even go a little bit visual on it. No rules against that. And there you can see straight in approach. So if I want to really start to lose speed, I think I'm going to be getting flaps 1 out because there's still a little bit of a bug in there. Jan have in the US we set the altimeter at 18,000 feet. Yeah, that's right. It's just nationwide that. However, Europe, they have it set, it's different for every airport almost. Okay, flaps 1, speed check, flaps 1. And this is where the aircraft may do something a little bit daft. Look at the rate of that speed dropping off. The engine's now going to spool up to counteract that. That shouldn't happen, of course. Oh, blooming heck, look at that. Oh, I thought for a minute it was going to go flaps 1. It's not. It's gone flaps 1 plus F. That was my fault. I'm so used to using the lever instead of the... I was going to use flaps down here, wasn't I? Do you know what? Bear with me. I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to go flaps 1 there and see how that works. A little bit uncomfortable for the virtual passengers as it's flapping around. However, there we go. We've now got slats. Config 1. I can reduce that rate of descent as we're going to be down right on profile. That looks lovely. Yeah, all you guys reminded me now I needed to use the mouse. You were right. So 15 miles, I want to be at 2,000 feet. That's absolutely fine. Slow that rate of descent down. And we are going to be coming straight in for our landing. No issues there. Jan have no, it's slats and flaps for takeoff. Uncapping badge of the right side flaps haven't deployed. No. That's not a left and right. That's slats and flaps. The front of the wing and the back of the wing. It's not a not an overhead view of the aircraft. In fact, if we look outside, Can we see? There we go. Slats are out, flaps are in. Beautiful. So a quick look outside, and given how beautiful the weather is and the fact that we're going to do an RNP landing, which could go terribly wrong, just for a laugh, I'll get the replay tool lined up. We'll record the flight and see if we can have a look at what happens afterwards once we've landed. Lewis, it's not just slats for landing, it's slats only in config 1. When I go config 2 in a moment, then the flaps will deploy. And of course flaps 3, and then fully configured. Ronald, how far out from the airport do I feel comfortable lowering the gears? Normally about 5 miles, between 5 and 6 miles. A little bit hazy. Oh, that's better. To be fair, I've probably got those flaps out far too early, but whilst the simulator is still playing silly beggars with it, I'd rather have them out early and have the aircraft stabilised. Now, Alex is referring to airports there like Innsbruck, where you've obviously got terrain all around you, and you want the airport, and you're obviously high up, and you want those engines to have full power. You want to get away from those mountains. One of the things you've got to remember, Max, is that at the moment the fuel burn in this aircraft is not accurate. It burns nowhere near enough fuel in the climb. Okay, so can anyone spot an airport? We should be quite happy with the visual approach on this. So radio altimeter is alive. I think that might be the airport over there. Nice sunset landing. Aidan, can you stream with real life liveries? Yes, if you've got them. Don't see any reason why not. At the end of the day, you're just advertising for airlines, aren't you? Look at that headwind, guys. That will drop off though in a little while as we get lower. Okay, so we're now coming up to the platform altitude to start the RMP approach, which is in 7.5 miles. So let's start and configure, because if anything does go wrong, and I'm just going to show you this again, this is wrong with the simulator, that is. If anything does go wrong, I've got 6 miles to get us back on track and get down, so and I'll be flying manually, so I don't want to be faffing around with just 6 miles to go and flying the aircraft myself. So with that, let's go flaps 2. And suddenly the engines roll back because they're not fighting all that extra drag that the simulator is giving us. Which is a bit backwards, isn't it? Flaps 2 should give us a lot more drag than flaps 1. David, yeah, flaps 1's broken at the moment. So we can see the runway anyway, that's quite nice. Quick little look outside before we configure a bit more. Amsterdam is there, right ahead of us in that distance. Where are you going? That's not the direction you should be going in. Don't you just love this simulator? Okay. Can I get you back on track, please? You should now be going direct there. 4.1 miles away, which means we're now coming in a little bit more of an angle. I'm probably going to have to fly this manually, aren't I? Okay, so let's configure in a moment. So we're going to go landing gear down, auto brakes not required, ground spoilers, get the lights on and the flaps out. Captain B, you hate broken flaps. I hate broken autopilot when it decides to take me off the approach, as it did just then. I could potentially fly this manually all the way in, but I want to see how many more surprises the aircraft decides to give me. Alright, so we're 2.7 miles away. Let's start configuring. So landing gear down, auto brakes not required, ground spoilers on and armed, our lights coming on. Engine anti-ice not required for the landing. Flaps 3. Aircraft is still going to do daft things, so I'm going to have to fly manually. We'll just use the autopilot to just get her heading back a little bit more towards that airport. And then what I'm going to do is, in a second, I'm going to use the track FPA and descend at 3 degrees. Ding that cabin. And flaps full. Autopilot coming off. Flight directors coming off. And we can start that descent using the bird now at 3 degrees. And the custom build is actually really good at holding that. However, that wind is buffeting away at the aircraft frame. I don't know if you can see that in the stream. And to be honest, it's a nice clear day, so realistically we can use visual a little bit. Why is my speed increasing up like that? Okay, this is something that I've not had to deal with before. So, that shouldn't have happened. So I'm now completely manual. I'm flying this almost like a Cessna. Right hand on the thrust levers, left hand on the side stick. There's that wind. And I need to get that flight path angle back online. I'm trying to control that speed as well. We'll hold 1,000 feet, get ourselves back on track, and flying whilst using the thrust levers as well is certainly not something that I've practiced. I feel like I'm backing a Boeing. So I don't know what happened to the auto thrust there. The speed went completely bizarre. Either way, let's get ourselves down safely, shall we? This is where pilots become lazy and rely too much on automation. I certainly do. This isn't going to be the smoothest landing in the world, guys, so I apologise for that now. And that wind is buffeting me. I can feel that hitting the airframe. Hoping you guys can see that as well. So not only am I of course having to keep an eye on the runway and where we're going, I'm also keeping an eye on, for the first time in a long time, the speed tape. Normally I let the aircraft worry about that. Okay, so approach is looking a lot stabler. And we're down. By the grace of God, we're down. Oh, I'll be honest guys, I really did not like that. I did not like that at all. Oh, what happened with the speed? Let's vacate. We'll hit the rewind button and see what it looked like from a passenger point of view. Did anyone hear the self-loading cargo guys screaming? Because funnily enough I didn't. Which is the first time in a long time.
You might want to put it on before exiting the aircraft. Please remain seated until the aircraft arrives at the gate. You are reminded to keep all electronic devices switched off.
So what was that, guys? Down in about 400 feet per minute down, was it? Oh, less than 200. Oh, I'll take that. I'll definitely take that with a fully manual landing, which I'm not used to. We'll let HD review that. Either way, we've got pretty colours, haven't we? Okay guys, what I'm going to do, I'm not going to bother too much with the full parking up and things. We're not on VATSIM. I'm going to stop the aircraft and then I'm going to hit the rewind button. Let's see what the replay looked like, shall we? So let me just stop the recording and let's load that up and see what it looked like. Funnily enough, you also get a landing rate as well, even on the recording. And it's always better, second time round. Oh, it's just gone dark. Why is that? So I'm hoping in a minute that I'll get a replay. Oh, let me get rid of self-loading cargo. Get rid of self-loading cargo because they will be screaming all the while. Let's just bring that beautiful sunset back in, shall we? There we go, that'll do. Okay, well, let's watch this, shall we? So those of you sat on the left hand side of the plane, here is your view. Willie will be doing daytime streams next week. Yeah, I always do them Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Wednesday was a bit different this week. Unfortunately, I couldn't do a daytime stream Wednesday this week. But yeah, back to normal Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then Thursday and Friday I have the kids, which is why there's no daytime streams on Thursdays and Fridays. So you can actually see that wind buffeting the wing there, can't you? That's quite nice. How many people out there have shown a video, something like this, to friends or family, and managed to convince them that it's actually real? Because you do have to look twice sometimes. Dark, no, there's no daytime stream tomorrow. In fact, tomorrow's Saturday, isn't it? So there's not usually any stream on a Saturday, unless I'm really bored in the evening. But definitely a Sunday evening stream. Sunday evening stream. So let's see what that touchdown looked like from a passenger point of view. And if you are on your way out of here, guys, if you could do me a big favour and hit that like button just before you go, that would be fantastic. Thank you very much. Well, you've managed to... How do you partly convince somebody? They either think it's real or not, don't they? There's no halfway house. I think it'd be very easy to convince somebody that this looks real. Christian, you managed to convince someone with a nighttime landing and a smartphone. Well, yeah, I think this particularly nighttime, or obviously dusk here, is really, really convincing.
500.
And I think it's, as well, it's the haze from the engines. It's something else they've thrown in there, adding to the realism of it. You guys will have to tell me what the landing rate is second time round. Because it will show it.
200. 100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10. 5.
Didn't look too bad from a passenger point of view. 192. See, actually, that's pretty good. Because what was the real one? Was it 195? Normally, they knock like 50 off on a replay. So if I now pause that, I can just very quickly rewind that. We'll not have to watch it quite as much. That sounded brutal. But if I now just hit play now, we can have a look. For you guys sat on the right hand side of the aircraft. That's the sunset side view.
300.
Benny, Manchester's my local airport. I'm always flying in and out of Manchester. I haven't been recently. I've been zipping around Europe, mainly because of COVID, travel restrictions.
50. 40.
Keeping it real.
30. 20. 10. 5.
Okay. Alright guys, so hope you enjoyed the short hop from Hamburg to Amsterdam this evening. Thank you very much for being on board with me throughout the flight. Always great to have you guys in the chat. Makes it really enjoyable, and I can't do this sort of thing without you and your support. So a big thank you to all of the subscribers out there. If you're new to the channel, then please do consider hitting that subscribe button and hitting the like button on the way out as well. That would be great. And of course, a massive thank you to those who donate and contribute to the stream, and of course a huge thumbs up and a hefty thank you to all of the Easyjetsimpilot channel members, of which of course you can check that out now and have a look at. So I'm going to leave this stream, and I'm going to leave you with one last replay from the outside so you can see what just how dangerous that approach looked from an outside point of view. I will be back on Sunday evening for the next live stream, so turn on the notifications for that, and I look forward to seeing you all then. Thanks for watching guys. Have a great weekend. Bye bye.